Good afternoon, gentlemen. It's been a long week, and my team shit the bed. That's why I'm talking to you from here right now, because I'm right where I belong, on the shitter. God, I'm quite disappointed in myself, I must say. But I will tell you guys one thing. This week was full of action, and we got a lot to cover for week 2. So, without a doubt, let's get into it.
The Tank Bowl between the Ohio 24s and Cleveland Crusaders was an absolute fucking snooze fest of a matchup this week. To clarify, there was not a single player on either team to record over 15 points. Now that's just sad. The game was never close the entire day, and aside from a shocking performance from Tutu Atwell, the Crusaders were bent over, spanked, and proceeded to moan because they loved being pummeled by 35. They remain the favorite to land Caleb Williams moving forward. The Battle of Chokers went as expected. Fortunately, this matchup actually managed to feature multiple 15-point scores on both sides of the ball. The stars were not aligned for the short bus, yet they still managed to edge out a 25-point victory, with the most points coming from Anthony Richardson and Michael Pittman Jr. The Legion gave them everything they had, but they could not withstand the bus massacre. The short bus did not walk out unscathed, however, and lost starting running back J.K. Dobbins. Meanwhile, Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase were pooped on by the Browns so badly they had to leave the game to find toilet paper. Despite this, if this is the floor of the short bus, expect them to be dangerous when Burrow and Chase get back to form. Sultans vs. Surf. The last of the lackluster matchups. This was a perennial contender versus a rebuilding squad. It went about as expected. With the largest blowout of the week, the St. Louis Sultans parted the San Diego Surf by 40 like Moses parted the Red Sea. The Surf, however, managed to keep it close for a majority of the day. With a late boost from Etienne and Diggs, the Sultans were able to pull away. But the Sultans looked quite vulnerable. Luckily for them, they face a solid cupcake next week in the Cleveland Crusaders. Meanwhile, the Jordan duo thrived for the Surf in their first rides, with Jordan Love throwing 3 touchdown passes and Jordan Addison catching a long bomb from Kirk Cousins. However, their opponent next week should not be any easier. Overall, this was a solid matchup this week, but I expect more from either team moving forward. Gamblers vs. Nocturnals. The first annual Idiot of the Week award has to go to yours truly, who spent the entire offseason shitting on rookie tight ends, only to start one in week 1 and lose as a result of it by 3 fucking points. The Gamblers have now lost 22 straight regular season matchups, and despite this, the remainder of the Gamblers roster came to play this week and nearly pulled off this week's only upset. But alas, the defending champion came to play and withstood his onslaught, mostly thanks to Brandon Ayuk and Justin Jefferson, who accounted for nearly 50% of the squad's production this week. Both teams look poised to win some games this year, but neither truly looked like a playoff team this week. The largest heavyweight matchup of the week ended up being a bloodbath. The Funky Monkeys went nuclear on the Colonizers, who may need to change their slogan to Ape Village, as they were completely overrun. Leading the charge was Tua Tagovailoa and Tyreek Hill, who proved to take zero gray matter to throw a football well. Also, a moment of silence for the Colonizers, who traded both of them away this offseason, along with Kirk Cousins, who added on another 17 points for good measure. On the bright side, The colonizers have appeared to make up for it with their Calvin Ridley acquisition, who was their highest scoring asset this week. The future looks bright for the Monkeys, and incredibly grim for the colonizers. I truly don't know if they're going to have what it takes to go to the promised land this year. Degenerates versus Warriors. This matchup should better be known as the DC Degenerates versus the Weekend Degenerate. The Wisconsin Warriors lost this week on and off the field. As predicted, the Warriors fought tooth and nail to reach the promised land. In this case, it was making it back home. Meanwhile, the Degenerates withstood all their might and walked off with a victory thanks to Tony Pollard and the incompetent Giants. The biggest takeaway, however, was the showing from the Warriors bench, which appears to have the deepest and youngest in the entire league. They will likely treat this as a lesson before they start winning, as they look like a sleeping giant. The Degenerates also look dangerous, as their starters took care of business. But can they stay healthy for the rest of the year? Or will they have to keep relying on Christian McCaffrey and Tony Pollard's performance to get them over the hump this year? Only time will tell as we move forward throughout the season.
For this segment, we're doing the Rookie Stock Watch with special guest Bennett Kaufman. How you doing today, my friend?
I'm doing very well. 1-0. Really cannot complain. Third highest scorer in the league. I'm feeling good about my team, expecting bigger performances from some players, expecting continued big performances from my best players, ready to move to 2-0.
Yeah, absolutely. That Tony Pollard walk-off victory has got to be feeling fantastic.
You know, I did see someone did call that. I don't know what source it came from, but I do remember hearing about someone predicting it would be a Tony Pollard walk-off. So shout out to that person, whoever it was, and for correctly guessing my victory over Toes, wherever he may be right now, if he's still alive. I don't know, but if he's alive, then he can see that I beat him. So it was just a weekend full of L's for Timmy Toes, and as unfortunate as it was, the DC Degenerates do not show mercy. We're out here to win, and we're out here to take out what is ours.
Yeah, your matchup was quite literally the Degenerates versus a Degenerate. So.
Yep, I mean, he really. I know that playing this organization has some effects. You know, the degenerate lifestyle. It's an organization, but it's more a lifestyle, and sometimes it spills over into other teams, and our culture is so strong that it affects other teams. And we all saw firsthand just how effective it can be and how exact it can be for a somewhat weak individual like Timmy Toes.
Well, he did have one victory this weekend, and it was that his phone did happen to be found, so he will be able to watch this. Thank
God for that.
Mm-hmm. All right, so let's dive into the rookie stock watches. We're going to present 3 rookies we think stocks are moving upward and 3 rookies who are moving downward. To start off, still on the topic of Timmy Toes,
Puka Nacua with a huge performance this weekend, 100+ yards and a victory for the Los Angeles Rams.
Yes, unfortunately, he was on his bench because of the happenings that transpired this past weekend. So, unfortunately, bad managers end up making bad decisions, and unfortunate things happen. Yes, if Toes had played literally anyone on his bench, would he have beaten me? Probably, but the reality of the day is he didn't, and Puka Nacua just put up an absolute monster performance in week 1. He's actually 5th in total receiving yards for wide receivers through week 1. Him and Tutu Atwell both had 119 yards in their dominating performance over the Seahawks. I'm excited to see how he performs. I'm a little bit concerned, though, with the return of Cooper Kupp, the inevitable return of Cooper Kupp. That is going to affect Puka Nacua. I would like to see some consistent performances, but stock is definitely up for these next 3 to 5 weeks while Cooper Kupp is still out.
Absolutely, for sure. And Matthew Stafford had a stellar performance himself. I mean, it's a shame that he happened to be the 3rd lowest scoring quarterback on a particular team's bench, but
how many points did your team score
this week?
Yeah,
100.
That's cute.
If I started Hunter Henry, I would have been 114. No sleep. Do not sleep. But another player on Toes' bench, I believe, was Zay Flowers, whose stock is also up this week after a fantastic debut as a rookie with the subpar passing attack from Lamar Jackson. I think Zay Flowers looked absolutely fantastic this weekend. He had, 9 targets this week?
Yeah, I'm not going to lie. I don't know why Zay Flowers was on Toes' bench to begin with. He should have been in the starting lineup from day one. The preseason he had was incredible. Everything out of camp in Baltimore was saying Zay Flowers clearly head and shoulders better than all the other wide receivers on the Ravens roster. He was going to be the guy. I really don't know why. He was on Toes' bench again, just not good fantasy managing from the Wisconsin man, and it's his literal loss. I'd say Flowers is an absolute monster. Old man OBJ. Am I rooting for him? Yes. Do I think he's going to make it through the season? Not really. Rashad Bateman, I have given up on entirely. I just don't think he's good anymore. Did not want him on my team.
I think he missed his opportunity with that injury.
He missed his window. It's Zay Flowers' time. We'll hope he stays healthy. I don't think I've seen an injury plague like I've seen with the Ravens over the past half decade. I mean, their Super Bowl window has been the past 4 years, and the injury bug has wrecked that train the past 4 years. So it's pretty astounding, honestly. But if Zay Flowers can stay healthy and avoid this plague that has been just ruining the Ravens, he is going to have a monster season. I would also expect him to have the best of season of the rookies coming into this year.
I 100% agree. And our 3rd rookie, whose stock is definitely up after this weekend, I'm going to toot my own horn a little bit here, but I'm going to go with Roschon Johnson with a touchdown and, 50, 60 rushing yards in his debut? I don't know. He looked pretty fantastic, and he started taking a majority of the Bears' reps in the second half. So we might be seeing him break out and be the Bears' RB1 sooner rather than later. What do you think?
I think it's an interesting one. I don't know if I'd say I'm up. I'm more neutral on Roschon, just because the problem is I made the mistake of believing in the Bears going into last week, and they proved me and everyone else that had some optimism, especially the people of the city of Chicago. They just did what they do best. They proved everybody wrong in the most pathetic way possible. I mean, that was a horrible performance against the Packers. Everything on the line, the chance to show that you have a new identity and it's now your time to take the next step in the NFC North, and you go out and lay an absolute egg. There's a horrible culture there. I don't like the coaching staff at all. Justin Fields is talented, but he is the number one running back on that team. I mean, from what we saw, there's no passing game even with the addition of DJ Moore. Chase Claypool was literally walking on the field. I just don't like.
He's even gonna play.
I just don't like this team. So it's hard for me to get excited about players when I don't, especially a running back, where a running back's success is so dependent on the Bears on the offensive line, and the Bears offensive line might easily be the worst in the league at this point. I think it's either that or Washington's. So
it's tough.
It is very tough. It's tough to admit, but I admit it, without question. It's going to be
Seattle's
really.
line looked fucking terrible this past week.
It did.
Well, our tackles did get hurt.
Your tackles did get hurt, but your tackles also did suck beforehand.
We were winning it. We were fine. What are you talking about?
Yeah, so were the Atlanta Falcons.
They won this week.
I was talking about 28-3.
I know
but
you're
it's
talking
okay.
about 28-3.
It's okay.
Yeah, that's another perennial choker right there. Falcons.
Yeah, well, it's hard for me to get super on board for an offense that just looked so putrid, and I don't really see the signs of growth early, but it is a team that can run the ball well. It's a team that, as we saw last season towards the end of the year, started to figure out some things offensively. Maybe it happens for Roshan, and maybe it happens for the Bears, but I need to see more. I need to see some improvement before I start saying the stock is up. I'm not stocked down on Roshan, though. I think I'm just going to keep it neutral.
Absolutely. All right, so who is your number one stock down right now?
Stock down,
rookie?
I don't want to personally call him out just because, again, this is more of a team-based stock down, but Jalen Hyatt, and more specifically just the New York Giants in general, what a putrid performance. Just easily the worst performance of anyone in the league. Shout out the Vikings, though, because they lost to the Buccaneers, and that was pretty embarrassing.
Did you see that quote about Baker Mayfield? How he
Baker, the money maker, is coming for all of your heads, and he kept receipts. He did. Is he the next Geno? That's a question for another time. Is he this year's Geno? Could be. I don't know. Maybe we'll come back to that. But stock down, Jalen Hyatt and the Giants. I've been saying it all summer. The Giants' offensive line is fraudulent. Brian Daboll, it was like the new manager boost. Brian Daboll comes in, changes the culture. It's a lot more fun. It's offensive and explosive. But at the end of the day, everything pointed to this offense runs through Saquon Barkley, and the Giants elected to give it all to Daniel Jones instead. And Daniel Jones, shockingly, is not a generational talent at quarterback. He is a game manager, if I've ever seen one. Jalen Hyatt had a pretty, I don't want to call it generational talent at quarterback at Tennessee, but he had a Heisman contender. So for the year, one of the best players in college football was throwing him the ball. To go from that to Daniel Jones, I don't really know if that's going to be great for him. But also, Hyatt really didn't pop. I saw he had some drops. Wasn't really getting the separation. But yet again, Daniel Jones with no time to throw the ball and just abysmal conditions in the rain, and obviously want to take that into consideration. But after that performance, I don't know how you can be positive about anybody on the Giants offensively. Even with Darren Waller getting hurt again for the 5th year in a row, shockingly, not like we didn't call that.
Absolutely.
Even when someone traded for him and proclaimed he was going to be this key central piece to his title charge, and now is going to be on his IR. But we won't shout that person out, but he knows who he is. We can definitely, I think, agree that just anyone on the Giants is not someone you want to be putting your money into at this point right now.
Absolutely. And one more stock down that I think we should cover. This person is also invested in them, and that is the entire Falcons passing attack. So we're going to go with Drake London for a stock down, at least for this year. Long term, still like the player, but for this year, if you're expecting him to be a contributing piece, I don't like your odds. I think you might even be better off with Puka Nacua, if you ask me.
I definitely think Drake London's a great individual player, but again, receivers and running backs are team-dependent positions outside of Justin Jefferson. Justin Jefferson is a rarity, he's an exception. Everyone else is in the same boat of your quarterback needs to be able to throw the damn ball. Desmond Ridder cannot do this. This is why Drake London is probably going to struggle. Well, Bijan Robinson is going to be no farther than 10 yards away from him, so Desmond Ridder can flick his wrist and let the man do his thing. The Falcons' rushing attack is absolutely incredible. Tyler Algier, that's a stock you want to buy into. Bijan Robinson, another stock you want to buy into. Drake London and Kyle Pitts, for that matter, I don't see having the numbers that everyone thinks they're going to put up because Desmond Ridder is just not a talented quarterback. Now, once Taylor Heineke eventually takes a spot like I personally know he's inevitably going to, the conversation may change.
But maybe.
Taylor Heineke coming in Week 8 when your quarterback throws 2 interceptions in the first half is absolutely inevitable. It's going to happen, and I'm putting my money on it happening right now. Taylor Heineke is going to come in halfway through the season, and things might change because of his aggressive playmaking style. However, there is absolutely a ceiling to Taylor Heineke, as we've seen. So even throughout the course of the season, regardless of who's throwing them the ball, I don't love the Falcons' weapons being able to put up the numbers that we believe they're going to have going into this year.
I 100% agree. And that wraps it up for our rookie stock report for this week. And now let's dive into the week 2. All right, starting off with our week 2 predictions here. We're gonna start off with the St. Louis Sultans versus the Cleveland Crusaders. And
why are we talking about this one?
it's I'm trying to find something positive to say for the Crusaders here. The only thing I can really say is that I think they're just gonna get spanked and they're one step closer to Caleb Williams. I guess that's what it is.
My interest in this game is the exact same percentage chance that Sweeper gives the Cleveland Crusaders to have the chance to win this game. It's 10%. I am 10% interested in this game. It's no offense to the Cleveland Crusaders. I respect the Cleveland Crusaders. I respect the rebuild that they're going through. I wish you Caleb Williams and all the best. But this is the Sultans' annihilation. It'll be interesting to see if Travis Kelce plays and how effective he is. That's something to keep an eye on. This is not going to be close.
Absolutely. The next game we're going to cover here is the DC Degenerates versus the East Lansing Legion. And it's tough to bet against the Degenerates here after their big walk-off victory. But the East Lansing Legion has a much better chance of victory than the Cleveland Crusaders does, at least, at 22%. And after some pretty good performances from Romeo Dobbs, and who was it that had a good performance last week on him? Wasn't it? It was Shaheed. They might keep it a little closer than the Crusaders will, but in the end, I personally fully expect Tony Pollard and Christian McCaffrey to walk away with this one and be the difference makers in this game. What do you think?
Obviously don't want to get too braggadocious here. I'm definitely confident going in. I'm confident in my team. I'm confident in the roster that we're building. Definitely a little concerned with the Jacoby Myers and Christian Watson situations. Jacoby Myers obviously in the concussion protocol. Christian Watson not practicing again. Obviously a little bit concerning there. I do think my running backs are going to eat up a lot of points. Hoping for a better performance from Geno Smith. Jared Goff also looking to get going. I think that if that game gets into a shootout, I'm in a really good position there with those two quarterbacks playing against each other. Definitely aware of East Lansing's ability to put up some points. They've got a lot of young talent. Definitely aware of that team, but definitely feeling good going in. Just looking to go 2-0 and not really fool around here. Hoping to get out with a win and keep everybody healthy and keep moving forward this season.
Absolutely, for sure. And then our third matchup of the week, we're going with the Bay Village Bombers versus the San Diego Surf. And
and this one's a little bit intriguing to me after Jordan Love's pretty big performance. And even though Dak Prescott had lackluster performance, I mean, the team he's on just looks absolutely stellar. So it'd be hard pressed not to expect him to put up a few more points this week. And I mean, anything is possible when your quarterbacks are putting up 20, 25 points each. Like, what do you think? I mean, that's
I definitely think the San Diego Surf are going to give the Bombers a run for their money. I think Bombers honestly kind of escaped with a win this past week thanks to the Aaron Rodgers injury. I mean, that really unfortunate for Janaski's team to lose kind of his centerpiece for contention this year. It's unfortunate, but I'm really liking the pieces for the San Diego Surf, especially with Jordan Love's emergence. Dak Prescott going to be consistently putting up numbers. Got to expect Joe Mixon has a better game as well. So definitely liking what I see. I think if the Bombers do not come to play this for a second week in a row, they have some more struggles. Don't be surprised if some popping performances from the Surf get them an upset win here. I do think the Bombers are going to squeak another one out, but again, this is my upset pick of the week to highlight. If there's going to be one this week.
Absolutely. Another piece to highlight for sure is definitely Jordan Addison, who looked fantastic last week. I mean, if anything, he would probably be our fourth player to stock up from our last segment.
Now,
he's an honorable mention.
I am seeing that Kadarius Toney is in the lineup for the San Diego Surf, and this is making me rethink everything I just said. I don't know why Kadarius Toney would be in the lineup after that putrid Week 1 performance. I don't know if there's any better options on his bench, but that's just not where you want to be. I mean, hell, even Josh Downs might be better at this point.
Absolutely.
I don't know how you can put in Toney and think that. So I'm gonna stick with my picks, but that should be corrected. If I'm the San Diego Surf, I'm making that adjustment immediately. But there's a reason why my team's 1-0 and his team isn't.
Absolutely, for sure. All right, next we got the Boston Bruce versus the Wisconsin Warriors. This one is very intriguing after the Warriors had a very stellar bench performance. Are they going to make the adjustments? And if they do, they're obviously going to be favored to win if we expect last week's performances to carry on into this week. But if they don't, are the Boston Bruce potential to win here?
I think if Monday night did not happen, I'd easily be taking the Bruce here, especially if we had seen Aaron Rodgers perform like we all expected him to in this new offense. However, without that, even with Baker Mayfield looking like an actual legitimate contributor to the Bruce, I do think that we'll see Wisconsin make the adjustments, make the lineup fixes that they need to be able to get out a win here. They're more talented than the Bruce. They have better skill position players who are younger than the Bruce, especially because the Aaron Rodgers injury doesn't just affect the Bruce's quarterback play, but Garrett Wilson, obviously you have to expect a drop off in expected production from him. Obviously, Aaron Rodgers is not going to be throwing him the ball anymore. He's going to be getting Zach Wilson throwing him the ball. I'm sorry, no. When you have to tip the ball away from a defender and then tip it to yourself just to make a 10-yard fade route catch for a touchdown, I don't really expect you to be able to get a lot of easy points if you're Garrett Wilson. So that injury leaks into production out of his other positions as well, which is why I really think in the long run we're going to see the effects of that Aaron Rodgers injury on the Boston Bruce. However, I just think head-to-head, the Wisconsin Warriors are a better team, so I've got them getting the win here as well.
Absolutely. And it looks like Nakua, Algier, and Zay Flowers have all made the starting lineup for the Wisconsin Warriors.
Well, there you go.
So I think I'm going to pick them to win by 30, maybe even 40 points. All right, up next, we have the Grand Rapids Gamblers versus the Florissant Funky Monkeys. And this is my pick for upset of the week right here. Naturally. I think the Gamblers did exactly what they were expected to last week. They kept it close with the defending champs, but one simple roster move cost them a victory. I don't think that roster move is going to happen again this week. And right now, the Gamblers are looking pretty strong. And can we expect Tua and Tyreek to have a repeat performance?
Yes. Yes, we can.
No. No, we can't.
I absolutely think we can. Unfortunately for you, this is where I serve as the cold embrace of reality, coming to talk to you now. You had a great performance week 1, however, with both Bears running backs coming into play for you against what is a very, very good Tampa Bay front. I don't think you're going to get much production out of them.
Erroneous.
Erroneous
on both fronts.
I don't like the Bears' offensive front to be able to do much against the Bucs' defensive front, which means their running backs pretty much useless in that game. Pickens and Robinson, you're banking on both. You have both of them in your starting lineup. However, you're banking on the Pittsburgh offense that looked absolutely putrid in week 1, just immediately turning it around.
They were also
Granted, Deontay Johnson is going to be out for a couple weeks. Both of them are not going to have big games. I like Pickens a lot. I think he's a great player. He is going to have a monster game. Allen Robinson, well past his prime.
Josh Kelly, too?
Not expecting much. Well, Eckler maybe playing, maybe not. I don't know. But Kelly's going to put up some good points. But again, you're looking at a team that has not just Tua and Tyreek, but also Kenneth Walker, who's going to expect to have a great year. Jamal Williams is going to put up at least anywhere from 7 to 8 points consistently. Devontae Adams, especially now with Jacoby Myers out and not having PS2 cover him all game, probably going to get some touchdown points along with his 8 catches for 80-something yards at minimum. Definitely like the Forest and Funky Monkeys, no offense to my partner here, but I do not like your chances.
All right, fine. My actual pick will be a final score of the Funky Monkeys winning 130 to 120.
Flip it and then add 20 to the Funky Monkeys. 15. I'll be generous.
Right,
15. It's going to be a 25-point dub for the Funky Monkeys because of Tua and Tyreek.
Fair enough. All right, this one we got the New York Nocturnals versus the Ohio 24s. I think this is going to be a quick one here. Outside of potentially a bounce-back performance from Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson, there really isn't much for the Ohio 24s to work with here. Brandon Ayuk looked fantastic last week. Justin Jefferson's going to put up points. Jalen Hurts also going to put up points. David Montgomery looks like he's going to eat too. I like the Nocturnals in this one, maybe even by 40 points.
Yeah, Ohio 24s, I'm honestly a little surprised that they're being given the percentage chance that they are to win this game. I believe it's at, 38%? It's just honestly impressive, and it is because of their quarterback play. Josh Allen needs to have a better performance just for this game to be competitive, because if you look especially at the wide receiver position, that's where the 24s are incredibly weak, and you could argue that the Nocturnals, that is their strength, is the wide receiver position, especially with Ayuk and Jefferson as a duo. It looks like Ayuk is kind of taking that next step as wide receiver 1 of the 49ers. Obviously, Justin Jefferson is wide receiver 1 of all of football, so I really like those there. David Montgomery looks like kind of like the guy in Detroit as well. He got a lot of carries and was incredibly productive. I do like the Nocturnals to kind of run away with this one, even if the 24s keep it close early. Don't be too surprised yet. Let the Nocturnals players kind of do what they do, and I definitely think we'll look at this game and see a pretty convincing win for New York.
All right, last but not least, the matchup everyone's been eyeing all week. We have the Columbus Colonizers versus the Short North Short Bus. And based on reports I'm hearing, it appears that Anthony Richardson will be playing in this game. Is he the difference maker in this one?
I actually don't think so. I think I think AR is going to do what he does. I think what we saw in week 1 was not a fluke. I think the Jags are a good team. I think he performed well. He had a really costly interception late, but I think what you saw is what you're going to get from AR-15 this year. The key here is the Bengals offense. I mean, what a horrible, embarrassing performance in week 1. Joe Burrow becomes the highest paid player in NFL history and then doesn't eclipse 90 yards passing in a football game of 60
Pretty
minutes.
atrocious.
It's embarrassing, it's pathetic. I mean, Sam Howell did better than Joe Burrow in week 1. That's not something that I should be saying ever in my life. But so that's going to be the key to the game. If Short North is going to keep this game competitive, Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase need to do what they do, because the Colonizers have probably more talent across the board. Again, however, it's a team that, interestingly enough, has banked their entire team on the Giants, who were just absolutely awful. Reason why they're 0-1. Both teams really definitely need this win. It's a rivalry game, lots on the line, a lot of bragging rights. This is my official upset pick of the week, though. I like the Short Bus to upset the Colonizers. I think another horrible performance from the Giants is inbound. I think what we saw in week 1 was not a fluke. I just don't think that team is very good. I think even though they're playing the Cardinals, we're not going to see an explosion of offense. I think that it's another grudge match like we saw Arizona get into with Washington. Because I think Arizona's playing with a lot of confidence and a lot of energy early. I think they're going to make this a game. So I like the Short Bus to kind of get the upset win here. I think the Bengals kind of return to form. Dalvin Cook and Josh Jacobs, both, I think, good running backs. Cook looked really good with the Jets, very explosive.
Absolutely.
I think Jacobs is going to get going a little bit more as he starts practicing more. He's going to have a whole week of practice off of the game week because he missed a lot of preseason. So I expect better performance from him. And again, with Chase playing Van Jefferson, solid, actually kind of the worst of the 3 Rams wide receivers in terms of production this past week, but obviously a lot of talent there. Greg Dulcich may not play, so tight end might be the big question mark there for the Short Bus, but if he can figure that position out and get some production, I like them a lot. Oh, J.K. Dobbins is in his lineup, so he's going to need to fix that badly.
I think he'll fix that by the time Sunday comes around.
If that does not happen,
But I also
obviously,
agree. I also agree 100%. I think the Short Bus are going to take this one. I think Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase are going to rebound. That's what the Bengals do. And it may have been a tough loss at Dogtown, but I kind of like them to take this one.
Yeah, a lot of great options for the Short Bus to kind of replace Dobbins. I mean, obviously you've got Laporte. That's for tight end to replace Dulcich if he does not go. Laporta and Gerald Everett, both good options to come in. But Darnell Mooney had a touchdown. Could see that continue for him. Jerry Jeudy looking to maybe play this week for the first after missing week 1. Paris Campbell is a starting wide receiver on the Giants. Like I said, I wouldn't be playing him, but he is an option. Allen Lazard is another great option as well. I think he's going to have a really good year with the Jets, even without Aaron Rodgers. I think he's a really solid wide receiver too on that team. So we'll see if Zach Wilson and him can build some chemistry, but another interesting option to have. But yeah, I do think the upset here is with the Short Bus, mainly because I just want to see the Colonizers shed a lot of tears.
Fair enough. All right. That wraps up our week 2 predictions here. Bennett, it was an absolute pleasure having you on set today.
Absolute pleasure. Looking forward to another great week of football and fantasy football. We're right back in the swing of things. It's just great to talk about it. It's great to be back. Great to be taking these shots at everybody, and then getting it all back. So we're just looking forward to another great weekend and keeping this going.
Absolutely. And now we're transitioning to our final section of the day, which is the fallen. These are all the notable injuries of this week. May God rest their soul.
I don't like that you put Jacoby Myers in it. I don't know why. He's in the concussion protocol. He's not dead.
And with that being said, that's it from here today, aside from the injury report, and we'll see all of you next week.